It's all about the U as Miami is making some noise at their wild pro days with absolute blazing speeds and unbelievable throws. We're covering it today on the 32 Blueprint.
Blazing
Welcome
speed?
in. Blazing
speed.
That is the
All right.
only way to describe it. And speaking of blazing speed, we are blazing past the 10 subscriber mark. Shout out to every single one of you guys. We can't appreciate it enough. Obviously, we do this for you guys. NFL content every single day, swinging the hammer, obviously hitting home runs left and right. I'm here with Christian Rao as we break down not only the NFL as it is right now, but the upcoming gentlemen in the NFL draft. And we're going to talk about the obviously Miami Pro Day and the noise that came with that. I'm Nick Marvitz, and Xavier Restrepo made some noise with his, I'll call it blazing speed 40. What do you make of this here, Christian?
Blazing saddles, if you will. You know, everyone's laughing at him, but I think that you got to look deeper into this. But let's look at it from both sides of the lens here. Xavier Restrepo obviously runs the 40 on Miami's Pro Day today. And if you didn't know, if you didn't look on social media, first of all, he's the all-time leading receiver for the Miami Hurricanes. He obviously is doing something right. It's not just Cam Ward who's going 1-1, and we're going to talk more about him in just a minute. That's throwing him the ball that makes him such a good receiver. But he ran a 4.83 40-yard dash. Obviously not great numbers when you're looking at a wide receiver coming up in the NFL draft. 5'10", he's about 210 pounds. For context here, you know, offensive tackle Tristan Wirfs, he's a guy that you know from the NFL. Warren Sharp
Watched
put
him
this
wrestle
out on his Twitter. Yeah. Oh, yeah. There you go.
Genuinely. We were 3 years apart.
That's really cool. That is super cool, actually. Well, he ran a 4.85 40 at 320 pounds and nearly 6'5".
He's massive.
So that's basically the same 40 that you're getting from a wide receiver. Now, I'm going to kind of say pump the brakes here, Nick. I really am. Because, you know, you might laugh at him, but he's going to be one of these dudes that you look back at and be like, yeah, he ran a 4.9. Someone's going to pass on him, likely like the Raiders or the Dallas Cowboys, because they pay attention to stuff like that. Jerry Jones is going to say, I can't get that guy. He ain't fast. I can't make that happen. But if you look at some of these other players, like, I don't know, I saw something that was really cool on social media as well. Some historical, productive, yet slower 40 times for wide receivers. And they put in parentheses with similar skill sets, and I couldn't agree more. Well, Cooper Kupp had a 4.62 40. Jarvis Landry, remember that guy? What a dude he was. 4.65. Hey, Ahmad Ross St. Brown, I think he's pretty good. 4.58.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Hines Ward, 4.52. Danny Amendola, the absolute beast, former New England Patriot, 4.58. So I'm not too worried. Now, obviously, those are still a lot faster than what we got from Restrepo here. 4.89 is offensive lineman numbers. I want to say that the stopwatch messed up because that can't
be the finger.
He ran that again. I don't think he'd ever run 4.89 again.
Well, and I don't know, maybe he's sick, you know, or maybe I don't want to say he's dealing with an injury. I feel like that's maybe too big of a leap just without having any prior knowledge. But and sometimes it's just not your day. I mean, I'm wearing the Iowa State Cyclone sweatshirt, and it was not our day against Ole Miss. I tell you that. It was Ole Miss's day. Now that's not it's neither here nor there.
But it's always here or there.
All right. I do think it's worth noting just how great he is on the field. To me, it's like a comparable. This is going to feel crazy, but it feels like Devontae Smith kind of coming out of Alabama with like everyone talking about his size, right? And so it was like, well, is this really going to translate? Well, it did. And he was a Heisman winner. Okay. And so when you see greatness on the field, sometimes it's really just as simple as that. I can't go off of these combine numbers. I don't really care how fast they can run between 3 cones. I want to know, can you get the ball in the end zone? And so Xavier Restrepo, obviously very competent wide receiver. My comp, you know, you obviously mentioned all those guys who ran slow and kind of had similar skill, kind of trees or whatever you want to call it. Those are all very valid. I just immediate memory go to Devontae Smith and everyone doubting him because of, he's a little undersized. Like, he's still able to get it done.
I love crazy, and you brought it up. So you talk crazy anytime you want on this one. Speaking about 3 cones, though, he had a short shuttle time. He had a solid 4.21 shuttle. So I mean, it's not like he had a terrible day at his pro day, and he was catching some nice passes from Cam Ward as well. Cam Ward and threw a ball from the 4 to the 10-yard line. We don't have to look that it was a short field. Okay. We don't have to look that it went from the 10 to 20 to 30, then back to the 20 to 10. It doesn't matter because my initial eyes did not see that at first. And I'm watching it on
Just
NFL Network,
amazed.
wherever case it was. And I'm like, did he just throw that from the 4 to the 10? And it took me about 30 seconds and about 2 drinks of beer to realize that it was a shortened field. Either way, though, Cam Ward, I think, silenced every doubter that there is out there after his pro day in this one. Already picked up a school record from Miami last year at 4,300 yards. When you're picking up records for the Miami Hurricanes as a quarterback, you deserve to go number one. Cam Ward has had a crazy run in college football, starting all the way up from the lower levels and FCS. I'm excited to see him most likely be a Tennessee Titan come April 24th. In the Tundra, we are only 4 weeks away, Nick. I mean,
coming
about that, but how great is it going to be when we get Roger Goodell coming up on the stage in Green, Wisconsin, and says the Tennessee Titans are on the clock. I'm so excited. So excited for the NFL.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. And, in the Cam Ward conversation here to kind of round that out, Iowa State played them in the Pop-Tart Bowl and saw it firsthand just how amazing he can be. Only played the first half. And is that the reason Iowa State won that game? I don't know. It just doesn't matter because he didn't play the second half. But they kept with him at that point for what it's worth. But in the first half, I mean, he just was unbelievable. It was just
what was the flavor Pop-Tart for the winner? Do you remember?
I think it was the frosted strawberry, I believe.
Frosted strawberry. What's the best Pop-Tart?
No, it might have been
bracket.
It might have been s'mores or cinnamon roll. I don't know. It was one of them.
Speaking of March Madness, go through the brackets here. I mean, who's your Final Four for Pop-Tarts?
Oh, for Pop-Tarts, cookies and cream.
S'mores is in my Final Four. That might be my national champion. Is s'mores.
It's hard to pick against s'mores, but cookies. If you're talking Final Four, cookies and cream, obviously in there. I think strawberry has a really strong argument. And then I think the fourth one's kind of a wild card. Maybe you end up with a 10th seed, right? So I don't actually know that many Pop-Tart flavors.
Would a brown sugar cinnamon have a Cinderella run?
I don't even know if they'd be an upset, right? They'd be like that 2 seed. I feel like that falls early to like a Thin Mint or something.
Unfrosted deserves to be in the NIT. They don't need to be anywhere.
I want to know if there was ever a Thin Mint Pop-Tart because that I would try. I am a big mint guy. I would. I'd have one and probably not love it, but I'd definitely give it a try. I'm a big mint guy.
Interesting. I don't know if there ever has. I know that there's always been s'mores on the shelf, and anytime I get a chance to go for a Pop-Tart s'mores, that's what I'm doing.
Do you toast them?
Oh, I toast them, I freeze them, but yeah, definitely toast them. I mean, I think every day in high school when, because I would show up probably about 25 minutes late to every single day my senior year of high school. I'd wake up, put in a Pop-Tart, grab like a Pepsi or something. I was terrible my senior year. I'd grab eating like a complete champion, Pepsi and Pop-Tart and head to school half an hour late. I failed the first period my senior year. Thankfully, it was study hall, but yes, you can fail study hall. Go ahead.
Thankfully, I don't know if thankfully that's a wild statement, but all that to say, I do think Cam Ward is going to be unbelievable. Obviously, the Miami Pro Day helps quite a bit, just with the actual on the field drills, whatever. I don't think there's a doubt in my mind that if the team at 1-1 wants him, be it the Tennessee Titans or be it somebody else who trades up to grab him, I think he very well should be the first off the board.
I do too. And I think that if you're the Tennessee Titans, unless there is I'm talking Chicago Bears, Carolina Panthers type package that they got for, the last couple of years when they trade up for Bryce Young, unless they can get that type of package, I'm not moving. And still with that, I don't know if I'm moving either, because if you believe in this guy and he's showing you the right things, I mean, you don't move. If you don't think Will Levis is the guy, if you're Brian Callahan, who arguably has to be on the hot seat right now as the Tennessee Titans, I see your question mark. I'll pause. Go ahead, sir.
Question of the day: is Cam Ward a generational talent?
Oh, man.
I say yes.
I think he could be. You know what? And the other day I said that if he finds a way to just fine-tune his hero ball, he has the shades of Josh Allen. So I'm agree with you. I do think that he can be a generational talent. I think you're right. Yeah. And I think there's a reason why he is easily going 1-1. And I don't think, if I'm the Tennessee Titans, again, I think the package has to be even better than what Carolina gave up to move up for Bryce Young. It's got to be even better if I'm letting up on Cam Ward after everything I've seen. Yep, Cam Ward.
Yeah.
What did I say? I couldn't even say the words right.
It doesn't matter. We don't have to take a look back.
According
No,
to
the reason.
PFF, Xavier Restrepo, 54th still on the big board for PFF rank. Do you think that means he's a second rounder? Most likely. You know, obviously there's a couple positions come up. Second, third round. You still think that's the case after his 40-yard dash?
Probably doesn't. The 40 probably doesn't help a lot. The receiver position is a very interesting one because I do think that Jalen Noel and Jaden Higgins could. I mean, I just personally think they could both be first rounders. Now, I might be a little delusional, but when you look at actual true pure statistics, like they are very, very, very good. Just in separation and actually only 1,100 yard duo this season. So, and they're like projected early twos. So I think the competition at wide receiver just in this draft, on top of the other players in this draft, I'd be very interested to see what ends up happening to Xavier Restrepo. But like, this is a guy that when he ended up talking about sitting in the Pop-Tart Bowl, it was like big news. You know, this wasn't like, it's not that big a deal. Like, this was big, big news. Obviously, very, very good football player. So I do think the 40 probably hurts his draft stock just a little bit. I don't know how many teams it scares off, just because at that point, I think it's not so much about the 40. You know, when you're not getting picked like 1-1 or 1-2, or even first or second receiver. I genuinely think that they kind of look more at the tape later in those rounds, and I think that they'll realize just how good he is. But honestly, I don't know. I mean, I'm no Jerry Jones, you know.
Jerry Jones will. If you aren't Jerry Jones, you actually might know ball if that's the case. Shout out to one of the coolest names for his hometown. I mean, this is the most Florida city name I think I've ever heard. Coconut Creek, Florida is where Restrepo's from.
Makes me want to sip of some coconut water.
Yeah,
real.
maybe a little Malibu on some on little ice there. Yeah,
don't even
talk
man.
me into it. You already
don't
did.
Even. God. I gotta go.
Want to move on here?
Yeah, let's keep it moving. I do think that Miami Pro Day, that's a big one. I think that that's going to make some noise in the draft. And I can't wait to dive into all of those, obviously, as we get closer. But the Xavier Restrepo 40 time, very interesting. I'm very curious to see how this plays out. Maybe he just needs to start dunking his face in some ice water. That'll boost his stock. I don't know. Maybe banana peel. I don't know what the case is.
Let's get it to 10,000. Let's do it.
I think it's possible.
That's the way that you got to make it happen. I agree 100%. I still think Restrepo can find a way to, I think you learn from this. And what I mean by that is you play with a chip on your shoulder, because you see some of these smaller guys in the NFL where people would never expect them to be big guys or huge type of players. Cooper Kupp is one of them. I mean, he went to Eastern Washington University. Who would have thought that was going to be a guy that takes off, right? Jerry Rice was one of those same kind of guys too. No one thought he was going to be a big time player until he got to the NFL. So yeah, count me in. Play with a chip on your shoulder, Restrepo. And I think he still is at least a third rounder when it's all said and done. That's my guess. Coming up for the NFL draft, 1 month away. Oh,
dude, it's so close.
Goodness. Excuse me. Let's switch here. Move over to some more conversations and talk about some actual wide receivers in the NFL right now. And there was a report that came out on ESPN earlier yesterday on Monday. And it was talking about Puka Nacua saying that he wants to be done. He wants to retire. What? Not right away. He wants to retire at age 30. He aims to say he says that he aims to retire at 30. He's 23 years old right now. That's something that has kind of been in the Rams style as of lately, looking at Aaron Donald, what he did. Quote, Nacua said, "I know I want to retire at age 30. I'm 23 right now. I'm going into year 3. It wouldn't even be 10 years. It may be 7 or 8. I think of Aaron Donald to go out on at the top. I think that'd be super cool." Now, obviously, Donald's going to be a Hall of Famer, an absolute stud. When you think about him leaving at 10 years of play, I originally think, wow, Hall of Famer, great. Sucks that he's leaving. But at the same time, that's a guy that was in the trenches. 10 years in the trenches is a lot different than 10 years at a wide receiver spot.
Yes.
When you think of this and talking about Nacua and already saying that he wants to leave at 30, he's going to make a lot of money in the next couple of years. He stepped up to be one of the best receivers in the NFL already. In the 2023 season, he set an NFL record for most receiving yards and receptions by a rookie. And then last year, he had almost 1,000 yards with 3 touchdowns. And he even missed some time during that one. So almost 1,000 yards. And I think he only played in 11 games, if I remember correctly. So with that being said, he's going to be a receiver that if everything pans out and no crazy injuries happen, we're going to be talking about him probably leaving on top. This could be another Megatron situation at age 30, leaving at the very tippy top. Do you like this? Probably good for him, but as for the league, I can't stand it.
I know it's a 50-50, right? Are you a player guy or are you a league guy, or can you be both? How do you play that card? My mind
Or a
instantly goes
fan
to
guy, like
Tyler.
just being a fan
Right.
guy. What side are you on there?
No, I know it's tough. It's tough to answer that. I think my mind instantly goes to Tyler Lockett, and I'll probe you on this one. How do you feel about Tyler Lockett? Kind of just going down as opposed to taking the hits on so many of his catches, because
It's worked
that's
for him. It's worked. Small guy having to deal with it longevity wise. I mean, it's
longevity.
worked all
Yes,
those years. Kansas State
and
legend, by
so
the way.
by the way, and so I think that it's like a weird comparison because one is like in game and one is about retirement. But if you look
Sure.
at Puka Nacua and like his full everything he will do in his time on Earth, him retiring at 30 is kind of like Lockett in a way, kind of going down with the ball. And so
It's a mentality.
it's a longevity thing, not ending up like AB, and at the end of the day, I kind of want that for as many people as I could possibly
Yeah.
think of, I guess.
Hey, I don't wish that
Apparently
upon
I'm on
anybody.
AB's.
Yeah.
And so from that perspective, for Puka, that's great. I think that's
Yeah.
awesome. Obviously we hope that there's no injuries between now and then, and he's able to play out the full, up until 30. And I do think that him publicly stating that he's going to be done at 30, he might lose some leverage there. So I don't know how that conversation goes. Obviously I'm sure he'll figure it out, but I don't know if he's going to lose some leverage with that. So he changes his statement in a few years. And we have to remember this. Don't let us forget, in 2025, he said he's going to play till 30. Then when he's like, yeah, I want to play till 35, he gets the massive extension. Then he retires at 30. It's like, oh, who could have seen this coming? But outside of that, I don't think it's too bad from his perspective. As a fan, play till you're 80, bro.
I'll write it in my notebook, the one that I promise that I look at every day, but I've never looked at it after I wrote something in. So that's when I'll write it so we can remember as we look back to it. He said one more thing about these injuries, actually, in this article from ESPN. He said, quote, "The injuries are something you can't control as part of the game, so you never know. Hopefully the rest of the career can go healthy, but you have a shoulder surgery, you have knee surgery, you have ankle. By the time my kids could be 18, I could be barely walking if you play the game and sustain all the injuries and stuff like that, but I want to retire early." He's thinking about the future. He's thinking about past football when you have already this type of money that he's had after playing college career, stepping up. Not a lot of people thought he was going to be this type of great receiver anyways, right? He stepped up and became an amazing receiver. The Rams lately have found a way to do that with Cooper Kupp, with Nacua. It's been one of these amazing things. The fact that you're looking forward, Ari, to the future as somebody who has a kid, who has a family, I would love to be able to be in that boat as well. So I can't blame him, but I hate knowing as a fan, I hate the conversation of what if with Calvin Johnson,
Right.
what if with Megatron, if Matt Stafford and Megatron had a more team around him, would the Lions have been something? If you would have demanded a trade and went elsewhere, if it was Calvin Johnson that went to the Patriots instead of Randy Moss, like what would have happened? Right?
Yeah.
Like those kind of scenarios. I've heard those situations. I've heard those bar conversations. You're going to have those same ones in 7 years if Nacua retires on top. Yet again, it's another situation. Another Barry Sanders. This time it just won't be a Lions player.
Right. Yeah. I feel like a lot of them are Lions players. I wonder if that's potentially something to look into. But
Was
also,
a culture thing for sure.
Yeah. But also I do, I kind of mentioned the leverage thing with contracts. And this is another kind of crazy one. Okay, get ready for this because I just thought of this. So I haven't completely ironed out this thought process.
Off the hip. I love it.
Off the hip. What about if him saying he's going to play till 30 gives the Rams a sense of urgency? Now, that's a wild take because to say that they ever have no urgency, like, doesn't make any sense. Obviously, they're trying to win the Super Bowl every year. But also, if it's like, oh, we'll be like, if he's 28, it's like, okay, he'll be fine. We'll sign him to another 4-year deal. We can get 4 years out of him. The window's 4 years from 2020, or I don't even know what year that would be, but from when he's 28. Okay. No. They know they only have 2 years now. So now you have to win within that time frame as opposed to adding some years onto that contract. It's just something to consider. I wonder if maybe him throwing out there being like, yo, like this is kind of my timeline. If you want to win with me here, then you got to kind of make it work within this area of time.
And that all turns back to who will be Stafford's replacement. When Stafford's finally done, who fills the shoes of Matthew Stafford? If it's not somebody who is an instant player that makes that team a contender, we might be seeing in a few years Nacua demanding a trade to go elsewhere so he can finish his career on top. So you're right. That could be something really interesting down the line. All for something like this, a article that just was under the radar on ESPN in the middle of March during the offseason. This is something to keep in mind. Put it in that notebook.
That's why you follow that's why you subscribe to the 32 Blueprint, because we cover this kind of stuff. We're here, we're in the trenches every single day.
There is going to be 10 super informed people. 10 super informed people.
No, they're sharing it with their friends. Okay, they are.
Shout out to number 11. Watching. Click that subscribe button.
Shout out to everyone watching, man. This is the group. This is our community, man.
That's right. You're the OGs, baby. You're the OGs.
They'll be here when we got 10 million subscribers.
That's right.
Either way, let's keep it moving.
I love it. Obviously, there's some talk still about Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson still being left undone. You know, the more that I look into this conversation with Aaron Rodgers waiting around, getting some visits, with Russell Wilson, you know, visiting the Giants, visiting the Browns, it was more of a get to know you phase. What the hell does that mean? You're Russell Wilson. You know what you know what you're getting from him. I don't understand it. But the more I keep looking into this and kind of peeling the layers back, I don't understand why the Steelers just don't go get Russell Wilson. I mean, you had a losing streak towards the end of the season. I get it. Fine. But you were still serviceable. And might I remind you, Russell Wilson was an amazing quarterback in Seattle when DK Metcalf was his wide receiver. I mean, has anybody threw the ball better to DK Metcalf in his career than Russell Wilson? I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but just by the eye test and what I remember, I can't say that he has. I don't think Geno threw the ball to DK better than Russ did. I don't. And you are getting that back in Pittsburgh with a great offensive line, with another one on the other side, and George Pickens with a solid defense. I think Russell Wilson's the right decision for Pittsburgh. I don't know why they're kicking the ball down the street and not letting this happen. Stop waiting on Aaron Rodgers, man. Do you agree?
I do.
Like you're on the other side of this.
No, I do. I agree, but also I'm not in the same boat, if that makes sense. Okay. We're kind of pedaling alongside each other here. I think, you know, if they were to add Russell Wilson, it makes the most sense. It's a completely sane play. Like, obviously knows the system, obviously friends or well, has a relationship in some sense with DK, and a veteran. I think he checks all those boxes. And so that's where kind of our boats are not the same boats. I do think that Pittsburgh signing Russell back and letting a Jackson Dart kind of fall in behind him is the right play here. I don't think you go with the Aaron Rodgers route anymore. I think it's pretty clear at this point that Rodgers was mostly in this free agency talk, potentially with Pittsburgh as a leverage situation to try to get to Minnesota. That's just the way I'm viewing it as it currently stands. And I don't think he really wants to be there. And you don't want a quarterback that doesn't want to be there, especially with where this team in Pittsburgh is at. And so why not bring back a veteran who we've seen is competent, is at least able to play football in this system. You've got some prior connections in DK. You can snag on a few wins. And if it is like a situation where you play 8-9 games and then you throw in Jackson Dart or whoever slips to him in the second or third round or whatever the case might be. We talked about how many quarterbacks are actually going to come out of this draft. You might be able to get a really good price on a 5th round quarterback where you can use your first couple rounds and kind of fill holes or whatever. You know, obviously we'll go into more draft strategy. I'm just thinking off the top of my head here. Let's just get a quarterback at a decent value. You can build off of Russ in the meantime, and then obviously he will learn from Russ, and he will kind of take that torch, take that flag, if you will, and go from there.
PFF has a mock draft that just came out, and it came out on Monday, one of their latest, and the Pittsburgh Steelers with their 21st pick is projected to draft running back Omarion Hampton from North Carolina. Averaged more than 4 yards after contact in each of his past 2 seasons. According to PFF, their little bottom line here, it says Hampton is one of the class's most physically gifted running backs in his combination of size, explosiveness, and lower body strength. He can be a productive slasher type of runner behind zone schemes, but his overall vision could make him a boom or bust producer depending on his offensive line. Sounds a lot like what they had with Najee Harris, but You're getting a reset with him. Already have Jalen Warren in that background as well, that backfield as well. If you have a guy like Russell Wilson as your quarterback, you already have great receivers. We've talked about the tight end play. Adding one more offensive weapon like Hampton, it's hard to not pick them as a playoff team heading into the new season.
It really is. I mean, I'm just going to read some of these names, and I know we've read these names 1,000 times, but like, are you kidding me? Cam Ward, Shadir Sanders, probably not available. But are you telling me that I don't know what the order will be, but I think Pittsburgh has a shot to get any one of these guys. And are you telling me that all of these guys would mean they're not playoff teams? Jalen Milroe, Will Howard, Riley Leonard, Jackson Dart, Dylan Gabriel, Quinn Ewers, Kyle McCord out of Syracuse. Obviously, these other names worth noting, but not quite on that level. Those are just unbelievable names. And I think Steelers can get any one of those. And to tell me that they would be incapable, obviously it's a gamble. That is what the draft is. But I don't read those and say, oh yeah, there's just no way. No, those are real names.
I'm with you 100%. And if you wanted to go with a guy that is dynamically different than a Russell Wilson, going with a guy like Will Howard in the later rounds would be huge. Going with a guy like Tyler Shuck, who has had one of the most upskill as of late, other than injuries, would probably have been a first-round pick a couple of years ago. So, there's a lot of players that I think could fit Pittsburgh's, just their thought process, their behavior, their attitude, their culture. Who knows if Mike Tomlin's around to see that moving forward, though, because we continue to talk about him being in the hot seat after not performing year after year. He still sticks around and stays there. I think he's one of the best coaches in the NFL. He's the most tenured for a reason. But how long does that last if they continue to kick the can down the road, not pick a good quarterback, not pick someone to continue on the future of the Pittsburgh Steelers? You got to think that eventually they're going to have to move in a different direction. Just wonder when that happens. Go. Question of the day.
This is another question for you.
2 in a row.
This is, I'm on a heater. Could Mike Tomlin taking a chance on a quarterback extend his career, or would it actually, let me just re-ask this. We are set. Okay. Just I'm mentally where I want to be. Tune in, everybody. Lock in here because for some reason I'm blanking. Would Mike Tomlin taking a risk on a quarterback early in this draft hurt or help his career longevity? Because if he takes a chance and then is in a situation where, we've got to see this quarterback develop, you've seen that I'm trying to further this organization, take a real gamble on somebody that we can see years and years and years of production out of, that's the upside. But if he comes in and completely tanks, then it's like, okay, well, now you've completely tanked everything that we have, and we no longer have winning seasons, and we're not the same organization. You're out the door. What do you think?
It's boomer bust if Mason Rudolph is quarterback too. That's where it's boomer bust. If they decide to not go after Russ, not go after Rodgers, not go after any other veteran free agent, and then draft a quarterback. And then they say, okay, Mason Rudolph, maybe you'll start at the beginning of the season, and then we can slowly slide in the rookie. Hopefully he's ready. But if you bring Russell Wilson in and he runs it, and if things don't work out, then you can switch to the rookie, then it's not a problem for Mike Tomlin. Then you're moving on. Gotcha. You're taking that step forward in the right direction. But if the rookie is the only thing on your roster other than Mason Rudolph, who is therefore being a backup, that is his job. He is not there to take over the Pittsburgh Steelers. Okay, we all know that. He's coming back to be just a backup, and that's okay. One of the top 64, we brought that up. Shout out Nintendo. But it's just the way it's got to be. I think you do both. I think you absolutely do both. Bring Russell Wilson back. Bring him back for one more year. It's the best play. And then in the 3rd, 4th round, hell, it's 2nd round if you feel so lucky for it, if you like the guy, get a quarterback. You don't have to take a quarterback in the 1st round, not at pick 21. You don't need to.
No,
you really don't. I think you can get that running back, as you mentioned. You could find a way to bolster your defense a little more. Interior defensive line is loaded. If you want to add maybe a Cam Hayward's replacement, perfect time in the draft to do that in this one as well. There's a lot of options the Steelers can take. Quarterback does not have to be in the 1st round, but I do think they have to add a quarterback of the future in this draft. It just can't be the only quarterback they make this offseason.
No, I agree. I think they need to have kind of a veteran presence there. And I really think Russell Wilson is the best play here. I just don't know if that's what they're willing to do. But looking at everything, all the conversations we've had, it's all pointing towards like Russell Wilson makes the most sense. Bring in a young guy and you can go from there. And I mean, who knows? Maybe they don't even draft a young guy. Like just bring in a guy that you are going to kind of try to position the organization behind and roll with, right? I'm just saying, I don't know if Pittsburgh's going to come after me for that take, but I think that that's the right play here. I think you try to get Russell Wilson back with his talent that we've seen and his relationship with DK and his fit in there at this time. Like you get a few wins, you can ride kind of his let's ride deal for the first however long until it kind of falls apart, and then you can go. I just think that that just makes most sense to me. Okay, disagree in the comments. It's whatever.
And if it doesn't work, what's the worst that you get?
Exactly.
Unlimited diarrhea?
Oh, I don't want that. I'm not going to lie to you. I just
Wilson said that once. You know that the meme goes about him saying unlimited diarrhea multiple times.
I didn't know the diarrhea one. I mean, unlimited. I trust me. I know, but maybe is it the Dangerous sandwich, or is that what it was? The Danger Witch?
Mm-hmm. Oof, crazy.
Let's
get on out of here.
For me.
Too much cheese. Yeah, lactose intolerant. Absolutely. All right, what a show this one was. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for all that have subscribed to the channel so far. We're getting great views over on the audio side as well. I guess listens in that case. But overall, thank you so much for joining the first start of the 32 Blueprint. We have plenty more to come at you every single day of the week. So be sure, if you're listening for the first time, hit subscribe, because you're going to get a lot more crazy takes like this. And if you're watching, you're getting a lot more of those sticky note question marks popping up from Nick every single day of the week. NFL draft coverage coming a lot soon. We got mock drafts coming very soon as well. And of course, we're going to dig into every single storyline right here on the 32 Blueprint. Let's get out of here, Nick.
Hey, I'll see you tomorrow.